Hi everyone, welcome to this year's Passover Seder. My name is Naomi and I'm going to be kicking things off for us today, but my colleagues Emily and Sasha will be joining us later. We wish that this could be in person and not via screens, but we still wanted to bring you something special. So we're sharing this video so that wherever you are in the world, whoever you're with, whatever you're doing to celebrate Passover, you can have a little piece of your San Francisco Hillel community with you. We'll be facilitating this Passover Seder using our SF Hillel Haggadah. If you'd like to follow along with us, you can download your own copy at sfhillel.org/Passover. And a shameless plug, not only can you download our Haggadah there, but that's also where we have tons of awesome resources. We have cooking videos, we have a Spotify playlist, we have fun videos to hopefully get you in that Passover spirit. So let's dive in. Each Passover, we come together and we ask ourselves, what makes this night different from all the rest? Well, it's safe to say that this Passover is far different from all the rest. Like I said, we wish we could all be together, but I think it's important to still acknowledge how incredible it is for us to be able to connect virtually as we gather to celebrate one of the oldest rituals in our tradition. In our hands, or maybe on your screen, is a Haggadah, which we use to gather our community together, whenever you choose to do so, to experience the festival of Pesach, or Passover. The Haggadah will serve as our guide through the Seder, the order of rituals, and the meal we're about to share. Through this Seder, we engage in a tradition of living memory. We will each be asked to look at the ways in which our world is broken, to think about affliction, and raise awareness of issues we're trying to combat every day. But we will also be asked to celebrate, to laugh, to share stories, to sing songs, and to be together as a community. This Passover feels different than all others, but the stories are the same. Whether this is your first or your 20th Seder, we're so glad that you're here. Now, before we get the full show on the road, I want you to hit pause on this video and take a check-in. If you're at a table with friends and loved ones, go around and see how everyone is feeling as you get settled. If you're by yourself, take time for a personal check-in and set an intention for the rest of the evening. Once you're ready, you can hit play and we'll get started. So diving right in, we will talk about the contents of the Seder plate. Some of you may have a Seder plate on your table, while others may have a printout. I know I don't have a Seder plate with me right now, but I have a beautiful photo in front of me. And below, we've included a list of what you'd usually find on a Seder plate. If you'd like, you can hit pause and take a moment to acknowledge the symbolism of each item. Is there anything missing from your plate that you would add? Did we leave anything off of our list? When you're ready, go ahead and hit play, and we'll continue. Now for the candle lighting and the Shechianu, the prayer for beginnings. Lighting the candles marks the beginning of the festival of Passover and separates us from the frantic work of preparation. It transitions us to a new, illuminated time and space. The Shechianu is a Jewish prayer offered in celebration of special occasions, to give thanks to new experiences, and to show gratitude for the strength it took to make it to this moment. We bless the ability to gather our community in a new year to celebrate the festival of Passover and to those for whom this evening is a first. Below you'll see we have included these two blessings both in Hebrew, in transliterated Hebrew, so English letters but the Hebrew prayer, and we also have a translation of English. So whatever feels right for you, please go ahead and you can hit pause and light your candles and recite the following blessings. I will also recite them in case you need any help with pronunciations. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav vetzivanu lahadlik ner shel yom tov. We praise you, O God, ruler of the universe, who sanctifies us by commanding us to light the holiday candles. And now the Shechianu, which I'm going to sing because it's my favorite blessing personally. I think it's amazing to be able to celebrate naming strength and courage that takes us to get to moments like these. So I hope that you'll join me in singing because I don't have a good singing voice, but I'm going to do it for you. So you're welcome. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen. So if you haven't already, feel free to hit pause and light your candles. If you have already, take a moment to take in the light that you've created in especially dark times. And I will let my red face go down a little bit. And we will continue. So in Hebrew, Seder translates to order. And now we're going to talk about the order of the Seder that we're here participating in. From the beginning to end, our Seder is composed of 15 specific experiences following a precise order, each coming with their own set of instructions. So let's read through the order. You can listen to me as I read through them and follow along. You also could hit pause, and whoever you're with, you could take turns reading the order. I know some of us may have even been taught a song to sing with the order. I already blessed you with my singing voice once. I'm not going to do it again. But if there's a song in your family's tradition, please sing your hearts out, whatever feels right for you. So we'll begin with Kadesh, the blessing over the first cup of wine. Orchatz, the first hand washing. Karpas, the first dipping of vegetables and salt water. Yachatz, the breaking of the middle matzah. Magid, the telling of the Exodus story. Rachza, the second hand washing. Motzi, the first blessing over the matzah. Matzah, the second blessing over the matzah. A lot of matzah here. Maror, the second dipping of maror and charoset. Korech, the Hillel sandwich. Shulchan Orech, the festival meal. Tzafon, the hidden matzah called the afikomen. Barech, the blessing after the meal. Hallel, psalms of praise. And Nirtzah, the conclusion. Now that we know the order, we can get started with the very first step, Kadesh, the blessing over the first cup of wine, which also symbolizes sanctification. Whatever you're drinking tonight, whether it's wine, if you're over 21, or if you're not, grape juice, or even water, get ready for 4 cups of it throughout this Seder. These 4 cups of wine serve to sanctify these holy days. But why is wine the traditional drink? Wine is considered a royal drink, one that symbolizes the indulgences that come with freedom. So it's only fitting that we drink 4 cups of it on a night when we celebrate our freedom. The number 4 recurs throughout the Seder. 4 cups of wine, 4 questions, 4 kinds of children. There are many explanations from our rabbinic tradition as to why we drink 4 cups of wine at the Seder. The most common is that God promised to free the Israelites 4 different times before it actually happened. From this teaching, we give each cup its own name: sanctification, deliverance, redemption, and restoration. And just a note on filling your cup. Because this night is all about acknowledging our liberation from slavery and leaning into our freedom, we don't want to fill our own cups of wine. Instead, we have someone else do it for us. So make sure that someone else at the table fills your cup every time you need a refill. If you're celebrating the Seder alone, as you fill your own cup, bask in the knowledge that you're doing this for yourself because you're empowered and independent and you don't need anyone else to fill your cup for you, not because someone's forcing you to do so. So hopefully your cup is filled with whatever you are drinking. So we will move into this first cup, the sanctification cup, and we will bless the wine. I will read the blessing again, but feel free to hit pause and recite the blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen. We praise you, O God, ruler of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine. You may now drink the first cup of wine while reclining to acknowledge your freedom and comfort. Also, take a moment to reflect on your own or with those around your table and discuss how you sanctify time. How do you acknowledge time that is holy and separate? And how do you separate it from that time that is not holy? After you've reflected, feel free to hit pause and we will continue. With that, we have come to our second step of urchatz, the first hand washing. According to custom, we wash our hands as a sign that we are purified and prepared to participate in the Seder. Today, it feels especially poignant that we take it one step further, not only purifying our hands with water, but also washing them thoroughly with soap. For this first hand washing, we say no blessing. When you go to wash your hands, take 20 to 30 seconds to think about your actions and how you're feeling as you prepare to participate in the Seder. My other recommendation would be, as you go to wash your hands, maybe you play your favorite Prince of Egypt song or any other song that gets you in the mood for Passover to ensure that you wash your hands for 20 to 30 seconds. Another shameless plug for sfhillel.org/Passover. There's an incredible Passover Spotify playlist that can really just get you in the mood. And maybe I'm also plugging it because I curated that playlist. Now that everyone is back from washing their hands, we'll move into karpas, the first dipping of spring greens. The greens on our Seder plate are a symbol of the coming of springtime. We call them karpas, which means greens in Hebrew. The season of spring is appreciated during Passover, a time when Jews read from the Song of Songs, a poem found in the Hebrew Bible depicting the blossoming of love, fertility, and hope. Arise, my beloved, my fair one, and come away. For lo, the winter is past. Flowers appear on the earth. The time of singing is here. The song of the dove is heard in our land. Let us go down to the vineyards to see if the vines have budded. There I will give you my love. The salt water on the table represents the tears of the Israelite slaves. We dip the karpas into the water to remember the pain of our ancestors in bondage and to those enslaved today. We dip the karpas to taste the bitter tears of our earth, who is unable to fully renew itself this spring because of our waste and pollution. We dip the karpas to remind ourselves that tears cease, spring comes, and with it, the potential for change. To bless the karpas, you may hit pause and recite the following blessing, but I will also say it again to help with any pronunciation. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, borei pri ha'adamah. We praise you, O God, ruler of the universe, creator of the fruit of the earth. You may now dip the greens in salt water and eat. And with that, my time with you has come to an end, but I'm so excited to pass it forward to my dear friend and colleague, Emily, who I am sure is just, going to make this even more exciting than I already have with this virtual Seder. Happy Passover, Chag Sameach, wishing you all so much joy in this time of celebration.
Wow, Naomi, thanks for kicking us off. I'm Emily, she, her, hers, and I'm here to take you on the next journey of our Seder. So while I'm really sad that I left all my Passover adjacent clothing at Hillel before the shelter in place, I come to you with a Hanukkah sweater and hope it is acceptable. So we're continuing here on page 6 at the Yachatz. The middle matzah is divided. And so many of you, I hope, are sheltering in place at home, and that might mean that you're alone and then you're not with community. So some of the things that we're going to read are in community if you are with one, or if you're watching this with friends or family, that's okay too. And if you're not, we also really hope that you take this time for deep reflection. So we'll dive in on page 6. Yachatz. The breaking of the matzah is one of the many ritual acts that turns the food of our Seder into a symbol of meaning. We take the middle piece of matzah from our table and break it into 2. We hide the larger half, the afikomen to be retrieved and eaten later as a part of dessert. So if you're watching this alone, guess what? You've already won, as long as you didn't forget where you put your matzah. The smaller half remains to remind us of the simple food of slavery. If there was a moment in the Seder that we should reflect on what it means to be a slave and what it means to be free, the time is now. So now you should take the middle piece of matzah, or really any piece that you have, and break it in half, holding each piece for you and all of your friends to see. And this is the bread of affliction that the Israelites ate in the land of Egypt. Let all those who are hungry come and eat with us, and all of those who are in distress celebrate Passover with us. Just as the Hebrews were lifted from slavery and misery a long time ago, may those who are still suffering today break free. So I want you to take a moment, press pause, think about it. We're not able to bring the people who maybe we normally would into our Passover Seder. You'll see in the next section we're talking about food insecurity and how we want them to be a part of our Seder tonight. I'm thinking a lot about food insecurity. I'm thinking a lot about homelessness in the midst of this pandemic. And are we doing enough? Are we doing what we can? There's a lot of great organizations to donate to and to get involved with to help the food insecurity and homelessness going on in the U.S. right now. But also, click pause, take a moment, think, what can you do after Passover's over to contribute? So, like I said, we're reminded of those who are lacking food insecurity, and normally we would invite them into our Seder. Tonight we can't do that, and often that invitation to the hungry seems pretty empty. It comes too late. We're already at the table. Our hands are washed. Our table is set, and only now do we think, let's invite the poor. So are we being disingenuous? How are we, as we're about to feast, can we mourn the existence of hunger in our world and not feel hypocritical? In Judaism, it's not the thought that counts, it's really about the action. So, is the Haggadah telling us to get right up this minute and feed the hungry person? These are not easy questions to reconcile. Let us continue, and let us choose to review the uttering of these words not as insincere, but a call to action. We challenge ourselves to alleviate hunger wherever and whenever we encounter it. So, if you're planning to hide the afikomen, now is the time to hit pause and do so. And also, think about what you can do. Whether it's after your Seder, right now, what can you do to contribute to ending world hunger? Now, we'll move on to the 4 questions. So if you've gone to our sfhillel.org/Passover, which is probably how you found this video, you've seen that we have different excerpts that you can add into your Seder. And so I encourage you to find 4 questions that relate to you. So tonight we're gonna read the Hebrew and English 4 questions, but I also afterwards I want you to hit pause and talk about some other 4 questions. Talk about things that are, really plaguing our society right now. The 4 questions. So the Seder is a unique experience. We enjoy special foods alongside distinctive texts. The 4 questions, traditionally recited by the youngest person present, highlight the ways in which the Seder deviates from other dinners we may share throughout the year. As we ask ourselves why this night is different from all other nights, also to take a moment to think about what makes this Passover different from all others. We're on a computer. I'm talking to you through a video screen. That alone is very different from any Passover we've had in modern history. But there's also been a lot of other times where Passover didn't look like as simple as maybe it could be. So I want you to reflect on those times. What are other times that we haven't been able to gather in community in the way that we would like to? So, whoever would like to, go ahead, hit pause, and do the 4 questions. I'll go ahead and do the first one for you, but please feel free to fast forward through me because I don't have the best singing voice. So, Ma nishtana halayla hazeh mikol halelot, mikol halelot. Shebecho halelo anu ochlim chametz umatzah. Chametz umatzah. Halayla hazeh miko halelo. Halayla hazeh miko halelo. Go ahead, hit pause, and take a moment to reflect. Why is this night different from other nights? Everyone is saying that this is going to be the Passover that we are going to tell our grandchildren, our students, the people that are coming after us, the generations to come. We're going to tell them about this Seder. So go ahead, take a minute to reflect and think, what are you going to tell the future generations to come? Now, we'll continue with the 4 children. So the wise child asks, what are the precepts, laws, and observances which Adonai our God commanded us? Because she says us, to this child we explained, the observances of Passover thoroughly. This child seeks to become involved totally in the frame of her people, its sufferings and its liberations. The wicked child asks, what are these observances to you? Since he says to you, and not to us, he divorces himself from his people and denies the role of a higher power in the liberation story. To him we respond sharply, it is because of what God did for me when I went forth and not for you. Because he had been there, this child would not have been redeemed. The simple child asks, what is all of this? We give her a straight answer. With a mighty arm, God freed us from Egypt, from the house of bondage. And the child who does not know enough to ask, you should open up the story for him. For it is said, and on that day tell your children, saying, for this purpose, God labored on my behalf, by taking me out of Egypt. And perhaps there's a 5th question that we insert here. Are you truly free? Again, on the Passover section on our website, we have 4 children with different questions. We have some for coronavirus. We have some for the world refugee crisis. So I encourage you to explore one of those. In addition to the original text, I think there's something to be said about what's going on in our modern world. So, the telling of the Exodus story. In every generation, we are commanded to see ourselves as if we were personally liberated from Egypt. This is kind of a theme in Judaism where we're supposed to see ourselves as if we were in that story. Think Mount Sinai, but that's for another time. We now retell the story of our people's liberation from slavery. It is from these events that our community gains our ethics, our vision of history, and our dreams for the future. Though there are plenty of ways that we retell this story, we provide a Reader's Digest version, basically. We also highly recommend hitting pause and telling your own understandings of the Passover story. There's some a cappella videos to watch on our website, or even taking a 2-hour break to watch The Prince of Egypt. I personally recommend to watch the Rugrats Passover episode. Holds a special place in my heart, and for being a children's show, I think it does a phenomenal job of telling this story. Probably better than I would. So, however you choose to tell the story, now's the time we come together to remember and retell our history. The Passover story begins when Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt, starts worrying that the Jews living in Egypt will outnumber his own people. His response, forcing them into slavery and decreeing that every son born to the Israelites should be drowned in the Nile. One baby, named Moses, is saved and adopted by Pharaoh's own daughter. When Moses grows up, he's told by God to command Pharaoh to let the Jews go. If you remember the song, Let My People Go, now's your time to hit pause and get singing. Pharaoh says no, and God sets out to convince him by the way of the 10 plagues. As the story goes, during the 10th and final plague, God passes through the land of Egypt and strikes down the firstborn of every household. But the Jews have been told to mark their doors with the blood of a lamb that they've sacrificed, the Passover offering. And so God passes over, pun intended, over their homes. Pharaoh's son is killed during the final plague, and as a result, Pharaoh lets the Jews go free. before changing his mind, as pharaohs often do. The ensuing chase ends up with Moses being trapped in front of the Red Sea. Before it's parted by God for the Jews to cross, the act of divine intervention that finally leads them to freedom, and after 40 years in the desert, to the land of Israel. Next, we have the 10 plagues. So again, I'm going to encourage you to think of your own 10 plagues. Unfortunately, there's a lot going on in our society today. It's not just coronavirus, it's not just world hunger, it's not just the refugee crisis. There are so many things going on in our society, whether it be racism, anti-Semitism, homophobia. There are just too many things that are modern day plagues. And so I encourage you to press pause. You can take a look here in the Haggadah, and it has the plagues from the Passover story. But I also encourage you to take a moment and list out the 10 plagues that are affecting you or affecting society today. And now, hopefully you've either created your own 10 plagues or you have read the ones in our Haggadah, but I'll go ahead and read them aloud. So there's Dam, blood, Tsepharidae, frogs, Kinim, lice, Arov, wild beasts, Dever, blight, She'in, boils, Barad, hail, Arbe, locusts, Hosheh, darkness, Makat, borod, slaying of the firstborn. And now we go to Dayenu. Dayenu means it would have been sufficient. That would have been enough. And it's a song of thanksgiving and a song sung after the telling of Exodus story. And now pretty much in modern society, if you've seen the memes and you didn't know what Dayenu meant, or maybe you did and you got a kick out of it, it means like enough. That would have been enough. That would have been sufficient. Thank you so much for bringing not just one plague, 2 plagues, 10 plagues to help us leave Egypt. Thank you for taking us out of Egypt. That would have been enough. Giving us food in the desert, that would have been enough. And so that's really what this song means, is like, it would have been enough. Thank you so much. That would have been enough, but you kept going above and beyond. So I encourage you to hit pause and sing, whether it's by yourself or at home or with something on Spotify, or with me. Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. And I'll let you take it from there. Next we have Pesach, Matzah, Maror, the symbols of Passover. And for this, I'm going to pass it over to my good friend Sasha Presley, who I know will take you on an awesome journey through the rest of this Passover Seder. And I also hope that she has a better singing voice than I do. Thanks for tuning in, and continue on with the rest of your Seder.
Hi everyone. We're going to continue together into Pesach, Matzah, and Maror, the symbols of Passover, all the way through to the end. According to tradition, it's said that whoever does not explain the 3 most important symbols of Passover has not truly celebrated the feast. So, why don't you go ahead, look over the shank bone, matzah, and maror, hit pause to do that, and then go ahead and hit play when you're done, and we'll continue into deliverance, the 2nd cup of wine. If your cups are empty, go ahead and take this time to refill them. In every generation, we should feel as though we took part in the exodus from Egypt. In our generation too, we should feel as though we ourselves were freed. So we can all elevate our cup of wine. We therefore thank, praise, glorify, honor, and bless the one who performed all these wonders for our ancestors and for us. You brought us from slavery to freedom, from sorrow to joy, from mourning to festivity, from darkness to light, and from bondage to redemption. Let us therefore sing a new song before you. Go ahead and hit pause and recite the following blessing, and we'll then continue into washing our hands. We ritually wash our hands before partaking of bread, as the priests in the ancient temple would wash their hands before sacrificing things to God. We make the physical act of eating a spiritual gesture. We make our table an altar of devotion. After first washing your hands again with soap and water, go ahead and rinse your hands ritually with water and recite the following blessing. Hit pause, and after everyone is returned, hit play and we can continue. The motzi is the first blessing over the matzah. To bless the matzah, I have mine right here. We'll say together, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. And then there's a second blessing over the matzah that we say together, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat matzah. And now you can go ahead and enjoy a piece of matzah, and I'll just continue. For the bitter herbs, the maror, we take the horseradish on our Seder plate and dip it into the haroset to symbolize the hope of freedom that enabled our ancestors to withstand the bitterness of slavery. Once you've done so, go ahead and recite the following blessing. You can hit pause. And then you can eat the sweetness of the haroset and the familiar sensation of bitterness and spiciness of the horseradish before we continue into our Hillel sandwich. We now put the bitter herbs, the maror, and the haroset between two pieces of matzah to create the Hillel sandwich. Rabbi Hillel was a revered Jewish sage born in the 1st century BCE. Because Hillel was also known as a gifted and inclusive teacher, his name lives on today in our foundation, which organizes and sponsors Jewish life on more than 500 college campuses around the world. This sandwich was made famous by Rabbi Hillel during the temple times, so it's only fitting that we honor him and enjoy. Go ahead and hit pause, create, and eat your Hillel sandwich. Shulchan Orech, the festival meal. The moment you've all been waiting for, it is time to eat. Whatever you're eating, be sure to savor each bite, each piece of conversation, and the feast of the festival meal. For some of you, this may be the end of your Seder. You'll feast and then you'll probably be ready for a nap. For others, this is just a break in the Seder. Go ahead and hit pause for this part. We'll see some of you soon, and for those who choose to end the video here, we hope your Passovers are full of warmth, celebration, and good health. For those of you who will continue after the meal, hit play whenever you're ready. Tzafun, the search for the afikomen. If you remember at the beginning of the Seder, we split the middle matzah and hid half of it as the afikomen. Traditionally, whoever finds it receives a reward, but that's up to you and those you're celebrating with. We'll let you decide what that reward looks like. Once you find the afikomen, it is shared as a dessert so that the matzah may be the last food tasted. Take some time to find the afikomen, and when you're ready, we'll move on. Barech, the blessing after the meal. Blessed be God, of whose bounty we have eaten, and by whose goodness we may live. May God bless the people at this table and all those who are not here with us tonight. May God bring peace to all homes, all nations, and all faith traditions. Please feel free to add any additional blessings of gratitude now that you've completed your meal, and we can continue together. Redemption, the third cup of wine. We fill our cups for the third time in thanksgiving for the festive meal we have just eaten. We say together, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Everyone may enjoy their third cup of wine, and someone should also fill a new cup for Elijah. The cup of Elijah. This cup of wine is called Elijah's cup. The prophet Elijah's arrival, according to Jewish tradition, will herald the coming of the Messiah. So let us open our doors, literally hit pause, go open your front door or your side door, or maybe even a window for Elijah to sneak in through, and sing together the song of Elijah. Perhaps between this Passover and next, our world will be reconciled and we will all know peace. go ahead and sing by yourself or with whoever is at your Passover table. Hit pause. And then after you're done, you can close your door and we can continue. The following psalm is recited as an act of praise and thanksgiving on many Jewish holidays, including Passover. Feel free to go ahead and read this out loud. Take a minute to pause, think about what this means, and then we can continue. Restoration, the fourth cup of wine. We now fill our cups for the fourth time in gratitude for the Seder experience. We say together, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. You may now drink your fourth cup of wine. And for the conclusion, this is when our Seder finally comes to an end, as we've completed all the customs. But the story we tell this year, as every year, is not yet done. What began in Egypt continues with us now. We remember not out of curiosity or nostalgia, but because it is our turn to add to the story. Our challenge this year, as every year, is to feel the Exodus, to open the gates of time, and to become one with those who crossed the Red Sea, from slavery to freedom. Our challenge this year, as every year, is to know the Exodus, to behold all those in every land who have not yet made the crossing. Our challenge this day, as every day, is to reach out our hands to them and help them cross to Freedom Land. Let us make this Passover not only the season of our freedom, but also a time of freedom for everyone. We say together, L'shana haba'ah beYerushalayim. Next year in Jerusalem. Not only that, but next year, may we be together as a community in physical proximity and gathering spaces. Hag Sameach, happy Passover, and now we ask you all to go wash your hands one more time.